listen, I'm going to fall for it. I'm falling in love with this player. I'm falling in love with the way he plays, and I'm falling in love with the hype. I got to go Caleb. I think Caleb Williams really has an actual shot to be MVP in the next year.
All right, buddy. Welcome back to another episode of the B Team. We got Mike, we got Muller, and we got some football to talk about. You know, Mike, I didn't know what we were going to talk about today coming into the week. I honestly was at a point where I thought we were going to just talk about our book reports and figure it out from there. Have you read a book?
No, it's bad. Like, I said one thing. I think I've read 20 pages. It's bad. Bad start. Bad start. But we will finish it. And I think about it every single day. We will finish it.
I mean, I'm in this. I can't really get mad at you. I'm in the same boat. I think I've read about 50 pages of the Arnold Palmer book. Haven't read the book in probably 4 or 5 days. Reading's tough, dude. We said it on the show and we did this. I don't know how women do it. But we're going to talk football. Let's not talk about our books that we haven't read. Before we get into the football, Mike, Tanzo's Beverages, Fat Tuesday. Make sure you get over there. They are giving out one free Foshnot with every beverage purchase, one per customer. But that's a hell of a deal. But get over there to Tanzo's Beverages. They got your beer, your canned cocktails. They got slushies.
RTDs.
You know, spring, summer's right around the corner. It's time to get back into the groove. Get your slushy flavor dialed in. Figure out, okay, how many beers do I need? How many slushies do I need to get the party jumping? All right, start getting the pool ready. I know it snowed yesterday, but we got to start thinking about this stuff. And Tanzo's Beverages will have you covered this spring and summer. All right, Mike, let's get into the show here. Lucas Berry, recurring guest, released his first mock draft on Huddle Report, and I want to get into it here. So we're going to break down his top 10. We can talk about some of the other picks if we would like to. But he's got Fernando Mendoza going 1, Arvell Reese going 2 to the Jets. He got Francis. How do you say this guy's name? I always mess it up. Mygoa, whatever. He went to Miami. I really should know that one. David Bailey, Mansour Delane, Spencer Fano, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Love, and Ruben Bain going to Kansas City, and then Caleb Downs going at 10 to the Bengals. So, Mike, I just want to get your thoughts right off the bat, especially the Jets pick.
Yeah, I mean, number one, shout out to Lucas, and I know he told us he's going to be doing a bunch of mocks, so it's good for him. I mean, just based off where we're at now in the process leading up towards the draft, it's super early. But honestly, it's a really good depiction of kind of where these teams are headed and what direction they need somebody. I think the tackles where they're at right now, I think is a solid start. Obviously, Mendoza and Reese. I think Reese might not be a lock for the Jets, but it would be hard not to believe it's a lock because of the player he is, the position and need that we have. And if you're going down the BPE measurement, or BPA measurement, I think him and David Bailey will probably be like neck and neck. It's just, do the Jets want to replace losing Quinnen Williams with another D tackle who you're banking on? He's a very good player and he could make a difference off the bat. Or do you want to go with someone who you kind of need as that field general in your linebacking core with Jamie and Sherwood, very good in the run game, was pretty freaking bad in the pass game. I think Arvell, I was talking to Gassy about this, funny enough. He likes David Bailey a lot, and I do too. Like, I don't think, of course, I get into the Jets. I don't think they could really mess this pick up. Like, you have your choice at David Bailey, who's probably going to go top 5, Arvell Reese, who's probably going to go top 3. You're going to go defense, and there's so many good players. Like, personally, Caleb Downs is a dog. I just don't think the Jets are going to draft a safety that high. It's way out of the ordinary. But you get a guy like Arvell Reese, it's a set and forget at the end of the day. David Bailey, the same thing. It's a set and forget. It just depends on what they want. Do they need more help in the run game? Do they need more help in the pass game? And personally, excuse me, I think they got killed between the numbers in the middle of the field. And that Arvell Reese can kind of do it all. you're not really you're kind of banking on him to be a very good edge rusher, like a Micah Parsons or someone that could be super disruptive on the line. But people realize like linebackers also play coverage, they play the zone, and he's very, very good at that. He's very good at filling the gaps and getting to the quarterback. I think he's a can't miss personally. Um, he's a can't miss. And then I also saw in his mock Cornell Tate to Washington. It's going to be interesting looking at how the receivers line up and where they fall. Landing spots are important. I think he has them going to the Commanders the last time I
Yep.
looked. Listen, it could be Carnell Tate that goes first. It could be Jordan Tyson that goes first. It could be Mekhi Lemon that goes first. You never know. I'm more intrigued to see where those guys fall because those are your top three guys, and they're going to go high up. The Jets have number 16. I would love for. I don't think like he had Mekhi Lemon going to 13. I like that number, but these guys might just go right off the bat. But also, there are teams that need the tackles and the guards, and a very defensive minded class, defensive top heavy class. So I like the mock so far. I think Jeremiah Love to the Saints is an interesting one because the Chiefs are going to be lurking. They're at 10, the Saints are at 9. Do the Saints really need a running back that badly? That's my thing. And Jeremiah Love is one of those quote unquote generational running backs. They're going to throw that word around like they always do. Are the Saints going to do it? Or because the Saints have a lot of missing pieces on that team. They're in their position for a reason. Tyler Shock is promising. He showed promise, but they need a lot. They need defense too. Even though their defense is good, they still need some players on defense. Offense, they need a receiver, in my opinion. I think a receiver would be key. They won't take a tight end that high. But Jeremiah Love, if they did take him, it's not a bad pick. It's kind of like Genty to the Raiders, where the Raiders were in no position to win, but they got Genty locked up for the 4 years for his contract. I kind of look at it the same with the Saints, but they got to fall in love and they got to be sold that we're not going to win right off the bat, but Jeremiah Love is going to make this team better and he's going to be here and it's going to be 2-3 years down the line where he's entering his prime. He's still young. He could take the hits.
I want to speak about Jeremiah Love a little bit here because I do think that that's actually a great pick for the Saints. When you look at Alvin Kamara, he's aging, right? He's getting up there. He's kind of played out of his running back prime in the NFL the way it usually goes. It's usually 5 years, maybe 6, and you see them start to fall off. And Alvin Kamara has been able to keep this train going. Jeremiah Love can take some of that load off of him, as well as be in the passing game. I think he averaged like 10 yards per reception this year for Notre Dame. I think he averaged 8 the year before when I was looking this morning. Notre Dame really ran through Jeremiah Love, right? Everything was kind of on his back to get this team rolling. And I think going to the Saints where he's going to have a lighter workload, he might be able to produce even more for them. I know it's going to be the NFL and it's different. I get that. But Jeremiah Love, he truly is a generational talent if you watch the tape. So my next question for you, Mike, we got the Jets, we got Jeremiah Love here, is Fernando Mendoza. He's going at number 1. Everybody loves Fernando Mendoza. They love the guy. They think he's, the greatest thing since sliced bread. He won with Indiana, perfect season. Didn't lose a single game. I just have this weird feeling he's not going to be good. I feel like he's going number 1 to the Raiders because they desperately need a quarterback, and, he's the best one available. I don't think he's actually, like, if you put him in next year's draft class, he's not number 1. If you put him in last year's, he's not number 1. He's number 1 this year because he played Carson Beck in the national championship. Carson Beck's, I think he was ranked 4th coming out of the season. And Carson Beck, I'm a Miami fan. I got the Miami helmet right here, right? But Carson Beck ain't it. He's not gonna play in the NFL. He's not gonna be good in the NFL. Now, if he does, hand up accountability, I'll take all the backlash on that. But I just feel like Fernando Mendoza is going to be a flop. I feel like the Raiders are going to miss on this. They're going to be looking for another quarterback in 2 years.
Yeah, and this is where my theory of like look at the Bears a couple years ago where they took Caleb. They had Justin Fields in their roster. He was beloved by the city. He had his ups and downs as a quarterback, but he showed potential and he showed flashes. It's one of those scenarios again where, like you said, there's not many quarterbacks coming out of this draft class, and he was clearly the best one out of all of them. Based off, we talked about it. You know, the regular season for the NCAA. He played great, undefeated. Everyone's like, okay, now we got to wait for the playoffs to see. Like if he would have folded, first game in the playoffs and they got blown out, way different conversation. We're looking at a defensive guy going first. But again, desperate times call for desperate measures. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on Fernando Mendoza. But it's one of those where even if the Raiders did pick him, which they're most likely going to pick him, they can't be mad if he's a flop. And the fans can't be mad either because he is the only quarterback that has proven that he can go number one based off his track record this past year. And it's another it's another set and forget. Is it going to last? Is it going to work? We don't know. Look at Trevor Lawrence, same thing. He was that good in college where there was no hesitation to take him. I think it's the same situation. It has to be. I mean, the Raiders are so desperate for a quarterback that they just need to take one. They can't rock with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll's gone. Like they need to make a change and they got to take a swing on him, no matter how much the tape says, and he has his flaws and whatnot. The thing is with Fernando, he's coachable. I mean, look at this past year's this past year was a perfect example of the player and the character that he showed. I just don't think you can, you could trade back and gather up the picks if you think there's someone better. But the thing is, I don't think there's anybody better this year. I don't. So you got to take that. If it doesn't work out, you took a chance. You took the favorite pick. So you just got to see what happens. I think the situation that he's in is getting better. It's not like they are down in the dumps, awful. They got Brock, they got Trey Tucker, they got Ashton Genty. The line is getting better. They just got to surround him. It's not like they're starting out with bad backs off bad contracts, no receivers off bad contracts. Like his first year, he will be settled in with some pieces that are probably going to stay. You got two cornerstone pieces in tight end and running back. You take it and you set it and forget, and you just hope for the best and you coach him. He's so coachable, and I think coaches are going to look at that and see, especially the Raiders, that this guy's going to learn. He's going to fit into the system that we want to put him in, and he's going to excel. I think it's a no doubt. I think he will succeed. I do, even though there's a lot of questions about this quarterback class. I think he does succeed.
Mike, another thing about it is, his new head coach is Clint Kubiak, who just won a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, who everyone basically said was done after his Jets career, after his Panthers career, right? So, and he's got Tom Brady sitting up there in the booth. So he's got a hell of a room to help him there in Las Vegas. Anything else with this? I when I look at Luke's mock drafts, right? I always like to think that he hates on the Cowboys very much. Like he gave us the 30-year-old D lineman. He gave us Sonny Styles when I asked him to give us Caleb Downs. I feel like he always helps everyone else, and then it's like he gets to me and he's like, all right, how could I piss Butler off here? He accepts that he's never going to get the Cowboys pick, right? But when I look at this top 10, another interesting piece of this is, the Saints might be the only team, the Bengals as well, bringing every single coach back. Not every single one, but offensively, they're bringing everyone back. Head coach, offensive coordinator, Chiefs saw change, Washington saw change, Browns obviously see change, Giants, Titans, Cardinals, Jets, Raiders. That whole top 10, it's a whole new staff, right? So it's always interesting to me, these drafts, because it's kind of a crapshoot. You got 10 teams. 2 of them are bringing their coaches back. The rest are all like, we'll see how this next guy goes. Like the Giants have a little more. I feel like the Giants and the Titans, and we'll get into this later when we do our predictions for next year. I think that they're the 2 that are set up to be successful next year. I don't see many of these other teams being great. I'm sorry to say that about your Jets. Listen, we liked Aaron Glenn when he came in, but it's tough after last season, the way they ended, for me to sit here and be like, the Jets are bringing Aaron Glenn back. They could be good next year. right? I like Robert Sala's hire. I like Harbaugh hire in New York. It's just interesting to me because it makes these mock drafts so much harder because you got to know what that new head coach wants, and nobody does. But here we go. If we're good with this, we can move on.
Last thing, I think the Titans are in a really interesting spot because they're at number 4. And, Jeffrey Simmons is getting a little bit older. We don't know how many more years he's got left in the league. I think David Bailey is a perfect replacement for him. I do like that pick. And the way Lucas put his mock out, it looks like a lot of those top 10 teams, their needs. It's not like BPA as much as it usually is, with the real draft. It's a lot of teams with needs where they're willing to spend a premium pick on a positional player that's going to fill the position and make an immediate impact. The Titans can go multiple routes. They can go receiver. I wouldn't see them not going receiver. You got Ridley, and you got a lot of these young guys like Ian Moore or Elick Ian Moore and Shemaine Deke or DK, I believe his name is. Dude, they can go Cardinal Tate. They can go Jordan Tyson. They can go get a number 2 that's going to learn under Ridley and just be another absolute stud weapon for Cam Ward, and that's only going to make it better. So to me, they're a team to watch because yes, they're bad. Yes, they need a lot of pieces. Which way will they go? It's kind of like the Jets. Are they going to go defense? Are they going to go offense? Should they go defense? But probably not. Should they go offense? Yes. Like every fan is going to look at the Titans saying, please get a receiver because we have been so bad on offense for years. Will they go defense because Salah's there? Probably. Will he get persuaded by Brian Dable to get a receiver to bring him in? Could happen. So keep an eye on that team because I think number 4 is where the dominoes start to fall with these, especially the receivers. Um, yeah, that's what I got on the Titans. Definitely a team to watch out for.
Yeah. No, I agree. But here, let's move on to Tyreek Hill. All right. Some big news in Miami. Tyreek Hill was released yesterday. He missed all last season with a dislocated knee. 2024 wasn't great, right? He really hasn't replicated his great seasons where I think it was back-to-back seasons of like 1,500 yards. He was coming off multiple years of success with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he just hasn't shown, and this could be for many reasons, but he hasn't shown that greatness in a couple years, right? And I think Miami was in a position where, do you want to keep this guy around in this rebuild? Do you want a guy like this in a rebuild where he's not really producing, but he's got a big aura about him? His head's kind of too big for the building. So I see where they're coming from. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, being an in-division guy. But yeah, Tyreek Hill released. I don't know what's going to happen next, where he's going to end up, but wherever he ends up, he ain't getting the money that he's used to.
Yeah, and it's interesting with the Dolphins because I feel like this was really at a left field, and they didn't, in my opinion, they did not play their cards right. I think you can even ask Carl. I think the signing right off the bat, it was exciting for a year, and then seeing it not turn out the way they wanted it to be. He had the 1-2 years where he was elite receiver going crazy. Then he's kind of getting in over his head, has an injury, done for the year. I think they just wanted a clean slate, and they're ready to kind of build their own roster without the headache. Obviously, the financial capability. They're probably going to pay a couple million in dead cap, but it's a big contract, and for a team to take a chance on a guy like Reek who just got injured, obviously comes with some character issues, and has a big contract to take over. Yeah, I just feel like they played it wrong. If they would have traded him before this season, maybe a team could have, bit the bullet on him and paid him the money he wanted to get paid. I just think Chris Greer absolutely fumbled this, but I don't think it's a bad thing that they released him. Does it suck not getting trade value for him? Yes, it does. But I think he only had this is probably his last year of his contract anyway, so it doesn't really hurt that much. But listen, it's a rebuild now. You got Waddle as your number 1, and you're starting fresh. I think that's one of those, you got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, Mike, he was 31. He was very injured. And I mean, his salary was fucking insane. He was due like 180, it was like 134 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and the
They
thing
pushed
is,
it all now.
yeah, it's not even like I'm not even questioning the skill of the player. Like personally, I think that's still there. If he's locked into football and wants to play, he's gonna be Tyreek Hill. But where Miami is in their process and where they are at as of now, I just don't think they're in a position where they need to pay a guy that much money. They're clearly in a rebuild. They don't have an answer on Tua. They got Chain and Waddle, but they need a lot of help. They need a lot of help. Their defense showed a little bit of promise last year, but they're not there yet. Clearly, they got to sit there and ask themselves: are we good enough to compete with Buffalo? Are we good enough to compete with New England? And the question is no. The question is no. The Jets, yeah, they can compete with the Jets, but what's the point if you're not going to build the best roster possible with the smartest decisions to bet? I just don't think they're in that position, and they need a lot more help on the offensive side with the offensive line. They need to figure out, what they're going to do at quarterback. They got a lot of decisions to make, a lot more questions than answers for the Dolphins right now.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the quarterback situation, I think Quinn Ewers should be their quarterback this season. No doubt about it. I know that Tua is still sitting there, and everyone's going to be waiting on, is he going to get released? Are they going to trade? Like, what's going to happen with Tua? I think it'd be a mistake to bring Tua back into the situation, especially with his comments this offseason, where he's kind of embraced the idea of getting a new start, a fresh start somewhere else. And I think Quinn Ewers showed that in a rebuild, he can be a guy that, he can go get you some wins, keep the fans happy. If he turns out to be a very good quarterback, it's a plus, right? And it opens up, a lot of money for you to build around him, right? So even if he's not the guy in 2 years, right? If you go and draft your new guy in 2 years, at least he gives you the flexibility to go ahead and, build the offense around him, build the defense up a bit, and then when it is time to get your guy, the team's ready, right? They're in a win now mode, and you just got to hope that that quarterback's there that's ready to play, like how Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, some of these guys have come into the league and, year one, bang, they're ready to go, and they were lucky enough to be in good teams.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off that, I agree with you 100%. And again, people need to realize this. Like, once a new regime comes in, they have no strings, they have no ties attached to whoever is on this roster. Perfect example, Tyreek Hill. They had nothing to do with him. Look at Aaron Glenn Rodgers, same thing. They didn't want anything to do with him. They have no ties to him. They didn't draft him, they didn't bring him in. Miami's in that same boat. And it's kind of where your theory of quarterbacks comes into play because not only do you have Quinn Ewers, you also have Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's been in the league for now probably going on 4 years. You could maybe see what you have in him. Quinn Ewers the same. And you're right, because if you dump Tua and you don't re-sign him, because let's be real, it has not worked out. And he was the number 5 pick?
Yep.
It hasn't worked out. And that is a contract where he's going to want a lot of money. He has health concerns. Everybody knows that, concussion concerns. We were talking about retirement with him at one point. There's no need to bring him back. And it's going to set you up for the future if you let a guy like that go and you get rid of all these premium candidates that are getting paid so much money. So I think exactly what you said is right. You might as well give guys like Quinn Ewers a shot and Zach Wilson a shot, or you draft the guy late in the second or third round and see what you have in him, or you go bridge. They're in a tricky position, and it's a clear rebuild. And Miami fans I think, know that. So I don't think at all it's a bad idea to dump Tua. You dumped Reek, and you kind of start fresh. You have more money in your cap space, and you can actually go spend in free agency next year. 2027. You get more draft picks. So they're funny enough. I think they're doing it right. Chris Greer, he would have re-signed Tua, and he would have gave Reek another contract extension. He had to go. He was a massive problem. So at least they're building towards the future. I got to give them credit. They're doing well.
Yeah, and it's funny. I would have never thought on this show we'd say Will Grier got something right. But let's move on here. I want to get into some predictions before we get into our beer review for today. We got a little bit of time here left. I want to get your stance on next year's MVP, right? Because I look at the lines, courtesy of FanDuel, and they got Josh Allen at number 1. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Drake May across the top of the board. But there's some guys that I'm really interested in. Justin Herbert with McDaniel, right? That's going to be an interesting pair. I thought Justin Herbert was very good this year for being injured, having to carry that team, right? I thought he was very good. He's 5th on the list. Patrick Mahomes, you got to think comes back this year. Who'd they just hire as their offensive coordinator?
God, why do I not know this? Was it Cliff Kingsbury? Am I bugging?
It's Eric Bieniemy. So
They just
He's
hired
going
him
to
as
be
his.
back.
I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be back. They might win the Super Bowl next year. And then you got Dak Prescott coming off one of the best seasons in his career, sitting right there behind him. And not to mention, I think that Caleb Williams got very disrespected by being put behind Jordan Love. We all know what Jordan Love is, and he ain't an MVP. So, Mike, while I try and figure out why I can't talk for more than 30 seconds, I'm going to give you the floor here. And I want you to explain your pick for MVP next season. Way too early picks.
All right. So before that, I called McCaffrey on offensive comeback player of the year last year. I also had an offensive player of the year. JSN got that, well deserved. The calf was very close. Maybe should have gotten it, but JSN deserved it too. For quarterback, it's I have 2 in my mind. My number one, I'm going to fall for it. I'm falling in love with this player. I'm falling in love with the way he plays, and I'm falling in love with the hype. I got to go Caleb. I think Caleb Williams really has an actual shot to be MVP in the next year. What we saw this past year was a system that was just freshly placed in Caleb offense's play style. Ben Johnson, they're only going to get better on offense. Loveland is finally turning that corner. Rome is going to get back to his original form. He's going to make these guys. I just can't see Caleb playing worse than he did. He was that good and in his position for a reason. I think he's. If you want to go for value and take a swing and a fun bet, Caleb Williams, no doubt. I think he could win it. And my heart is kind of also with Burrow. I think Burrow, if can just get back to the level that and just stay healthy, he can always win it. He could play one game the whole year and come back and he could still be a top 6 MVP, odds candidate. So I'm gonna go with Caleb, but don't be shocked if Joe Burrow comes out and is playing out of his mind again.
I was thinking about taking Joe Burrow, and it's just something about, I look at Dak Prescott's career, and if the defense just doesn't get it done for you, you ain't winning an MVP. And I still am absolutely scared of that defense that Joe Burrow has. Although I have said on this show the last couple of weeks, Joe Burrow will be back. I think that offense will be back. Plus 1,000, good odds for him. My pick, and I like the Caleb Williams shout, because Caleb is my like 1B, I would say, at plus 1,600. I really like what he showed this year. I think with Ben Johnson, he kind of unlocked Caleb, a new Caleb. Caleb, he likes to run, he likes to scramble, he likes to create plays, and Ben Johnson, he kind of tamed him, right? He lets him do it to an extent, but he also makes sure, hey, we're playing NFL football. We can't just, this isn't backyard, pee-wee, Pablo Escobar football, on the Nintendo DS. So I'm going to be taking Dak Prescott. One of these years, it's going to work out for me. I take him every year at this episode. I'm taking Dak Prescott plus 1,300. He's coming off one of the best years of his career. I really like what Schottenheimer has going on down there. George Pickens is coming back. CeeDee Lamb coming back. The run game's going to be better. We need to re-sign Javonte. Have to. And then the O-line, very young last year. I think they did pretty damn good for being as young as they were. So with that new experience coming in, I think the offense is just going to pick up where they left off. In the defense, it's kind of like we said with the Bengals. It can't get worse. I don't think. Like, they were pretty freaking bad, Mike. They were really bad. Like, I can't see it getting worse. So my pick's going to be Dak Prescott this year for MVP. I think that the Cowboys do make a run. They have the most cap space available to them in the league right now. And I had a conversation with my dad, and I think your dad at the Super Bowl. Jerry Jones, the way he played his hands this year, everyone was saying how, Jerry doesn't want to win. And I kind of agree with that because I don't think he wanted to win this year. I think he was looking at this upcoming year and said, okay, I'm okay losing this year. If something happens and we figure out a way to get to the playoffs, sweet. But he found a way to open up a shit ton of cap space and get a really good team around Dak Prescott. And now he has the ability to build up that defense, which already has some very good young pieces. Went out, got better coaching on defense, went out, got better coaching on offense. I think that this team is in a very good spot. And I know all these Eagles fans are going to be pissed off at me right now. Greg's going to be messaging saying I'm a fucking idiot, but I'm not. When you look at the numbers on the paper, the Dallas Cowboys are in a better position than Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, who are about to have a 2-year Super Bowl slump because Jalen Hurts can't do nothing but get his tush pushed. So I'm all in on Dak Prescott winning MVP this year, and you can probably already guess what my Super Bowl pick's going to be. But Mike, let's get quick Super Bowl picks, and then we'll give other picks next week because we got to get this beer review, and then I'm getting my haircut.
All right, Super Bowl picks. Oof, God. Well, we kind of did it last week with the colors. I feel like we got to go a similar route. Let's go Bears Jags. Let's do that. I'm all in on the Bears, man.
Well, who's winning?
I think the Bears win. I think it's NFC 2 years in a row. I think Caleb gets it, which is bold. But that Bears team is fun. They are a fun team to watch, and the city's riding with them, win or lose. It's kind of like a Buffalo Bills segment now, where it doesn't really matter where they get. If they just get far and it's fun, they don't care. But the Bills, they're getting tired of it. The Bears are just entering it. So I'm taking the Bears to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I'm going to be taking the Kansas City Chiefs plus 1,600. I think Mahomes, it's kind of like the Brady situation. They have a down year, and then all of a sudden they're back. They refresh their team. They get a new O-line in there. They get a few new weapons, a new OC, and all of a sudden you just see Patrick Mahomes on your TV every week leading up to the Super Bowl, and it's like inevitable. He's going to put up 30 in the Super Bowl. He's going to look fantastic. You're going to have to hear Kermit the Frog saying, I'm going to Disneyland. And we're going to be looking at the next Tom Brady. The baby goat's back. Now, if Kansas City doesn't win, obviously I'm taking the Cowboys. But, yeah, I think Kansas City is going to be there once again, unfortunately, for everybody.
Dude, listen, I don't want to get deep into the Cowboys, but I didn't get to really talk about Dak. I really do like that pick because people don't realize the point differential that the Cowboys had was, I think, like top 5 in the league. Like, they were way over. They were putting up points. And they are in such a good position where, like you said, Jerry cannot take a negative from this season. Yes, the defense, that's a negative. But when you're looking at it from the offensive side, it's like, we did great. We put up points. We put our team in a great position to win. We scored. We got a lot of touchdowns. We now have another borderline one wide receiver number 1. Like, Jerry cannot be mad about how the offense has looked. You don't even have to change much at this point. You just got to start, helping your defense out.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's exciting. I would be excited as a Cowboys fan. I really would.
I am excited. It's just like every year there is some excitement and there's a build up, and then you've seen it. Like, halfway through the year, I'm just the most miserable human on the planet. But here because I know that it's my fault that I'm gonna be the one that has to leave.
No, it's okay, Muller.
Let's get into the drink. We only have so many hours in the day. You got to find a time to get a haircut. This week, brought to you by Tanzo's Beverages. Tanzo's was there for you at the Super Bowl. They were there for you at Christmas. They were there for you at New Year's. They were there for you on Valentine's Day. Next up is St. Patrick's Day. Head over there. They got a full Guinness display. They got the holiday seasonal shelf going right now. Go get ready for St. Patrick's Day. Get the beer that you're going to be drinking on your pub crawl. Get over to Tanzo's Beverages. Foshnot Day, Tanzo's Beverage Day. Let's have a day. Mike, we got another non-alcoholic beer here, a very cool one. We got Wallen Pack Brewing Company Hazy IPA Lagermouth non-alcoholic. Really cool can. I really like it.
Mm-hmm. Just
Thoughts?
simple, just a simple can right now. Um, I I have an idea of what it's going to be like, but no, just I think a very simple can. I love the fish with the little hop on the hook. It's it looks pretty good, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I've never actually had Wallen Pack before, the actual brewing company's alcoholic beverages,
Pretty
but
good.
yeah, I've heard of it before. Never really had it, but let's hold on.
Let's
Oh
do it.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You ready? Ready to try it?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
One sip. Everyone knows the rules.
Smells great.
Oh, yeah, it does. All right, cheers, my boy.
That's interesting. Are you getting that in a little aftertaste there?
Tastes like a fish. You see, these are the beers though. Like when I this isn't the type that I go for. Like I do like IPAs, you know this, but
Yeah.
there's there's the scale where it's very bitter or it's very hoppy, like very hoppy. In my opinion, it's more on the bitter side, which isn't my cup of tea.
No.
But for people who do like that very bitter taste, this is really good for them because this one actually tastes more like it has booze in it than the other ones that we reviewed.
Yes. And I
Do
think
you
it's
agree
because
with
of that
that?
little.
Fruit in the back end there. Is that grapefruit that I'm getting there? Is that what I'm getting?
Peach, pine, and citrus.
Citrus. There you go. Where are you seeing that? Ah, I see it.
I'm telling you, a lot of these NA beers that we're trying, like I really get the pine taste. Like that's what jumps to me right off the bat is the pine. Like I don't taste the peach. Maybe a little bit of the citrus, but it's just pine. That's where I'm getting it.
Well, right off the rip, you get that pine, but I think the back end, you get the peach, you get the citrus, which makes it pretty good. It makes it refreshing. Um, but I feel like a lot of these non-alcoholics, you hear, they got the pine in it, and I think that's how they get it to taste like a beer. We could be so wrong with this,
I'm getting the peach. I'm getting the peach now.
right? It's just on the back of your tongue.
I mean,
Jacob Elordi in that new movie, Wuthering Heights, I got dragged to it.
Dude,
oh yeah,
An immense amount of licking. That dude would be able to taste everything in this. It was insane, Mike. Insane.
what was it? Was it
all
MA
right,
rated movie?
Let's give our scores here. You ready for this?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I think I got a good number.
All right. Largemouth Hazy IPA, Wallen Pack Brewing Company. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
7-8.
7.2.
All right, 7-8.
You said 7.8.
7-8.
All right. So we're at, what is that? 7.5.
7-4, 7-3. Nah, no, it'd be like 7-5.
7.5. Yeah. So that's not bad. That's actually a good score. I think that puts it at. It's probably third. Probably third on our scale on our Untapped.
I think that's fair though, because I think it's better than the Guinness. It's better than the sour that we tried, but I still don't think it's the Elysian. Nothing has touched the Elysian yet.
That thing was fantastic.
What was the first one? The Broken Rails? Is that what it was?
Broken heels. Broken heels.
Broken Heels. Broken Rails. Jesus Christ.
Dude, train conductor.
Oh, God help me. Yeah, I think that's a fair score. I think that's a perfect placement because it's definitely better than the others, but it's not the best out of the other two that we had. Me personally, and I think we agree on that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, not really a Guinness guy. The sour one was interesting, but it just wasn't what we were expecting. If we went into that knowing kind of a little more about that beer, I think the score would be higher. But going in blind's the way we got to do it, which neither of us have had this beer with alcohol in it. Neither of us had Go Brewing. Not the Neutro Broken Heels one. I think both of us have had. Elysian I've had, but no, I think we've really chosen good beers so far. If anyone has a suggestion on what we should try, please send it. We'd love to try some beers that people want to hear about. But Mike, I got to get going here. So I'm going to give a little shout out to the people. You guys are great. Let's keep this train going. Share the content, share the show, subscribe to the show, get your buddies to subscribe to the show. Trick your grandma into subscribing to the show. Don't let her get scammed on the phone. Let her get scammed on the YouTube. All right? Let's get that going today. So everyone just go scam your grandmom, create her Gmail account, and just throw her into the B Team podcast. She's not going to know what's happening. Maybe she will, but she's not going to know what's happening. But just let's get these subscribers up. Let's bump this thing. Mike?
Hit the subscribe button and check out our recent videos, man. I thought the Super Bowl video was awesome. I think we had a great recap, and I thought our golf video was also fantastic.
The
So
golf video
funny,
was awesome.
so funny. It deserves a lot more love than it's gotten right now. Shout out to the people who have liked it and subscribed, watched it. It is a funny ass video. I was cracking up at you, myself. It was so fun. Go watch that video. It is great. It is great content. And there are a lot more to be coming. It is getting nice out. Even though there's snow on the ground, it was nice. I was hot last night. It was sweaty. We are getting closer and closer to golf in spring. Get in the season now. Start watching the golf videos, man. Let's do it.
Let's get after it. Well, Mike, good stuff.
Good episode. Get a haircut. Need you looking spiffy. You got a lot of important things coming up. You got to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
You got to prepare.
All right. Well, subscribe. Love you guys. See you.
Subscribe, guys. Have a good day.